Gaming today is a lot more than just first-person shooters and real-time strategy games. There's a lot of other genres out there that don't get the respect they deserve, and space simulation games, I feel, are greatly overlooked. Thankfully, Kalypso Media and Ascaron Entertainment have brought a PC port from 2006 to the Xbox 360. It seems odd to port a 4-year-old title, but I can probably count the number of space simulation games for the 360 on one hand, so hopefully it brings some more attention to the genre. Released on July 20th for $40 or $10 for the PC on Steam, DarkStar One brings us everything a great space simulation game should, including action, adventure, smuggling, and bounty hunting, all in a completely open world. Whether you're a die-hard space mercenary or a noob amongst the ranks, let's jump right in. Here's DarkStar One.
Great. Why do we have to drop out of hyperspace here of all places?
Be glad we landed in an uninhabited system. At least there aren't any patrols here to bother us.
There's actually quite a bit going on in DarkStar One, and you're kind of caught in the middle of it. The game takes place far into our future when it's been discovered that the galaxy is in fact populated with various alien species, 6 of whom you'll interact with on your adventure. A great galactic war concluded some 40 years ago, but tension is once again rising, putting all the races on edge, defending their borders from potential attacks. You play as rookie space pilot Chiron Jarvis, getting the news that his father has just been killed due to a sabotaged ship. Chiron's father's life's work was spent on an experimental ship called the DarkStar One, which utilizes ancient artifacts to make it powerful and even transform its appearance over time. The DarkStar One is then passed on to Chiron, who takes the opportunity to utilize the powerful spacecraft to try to figure out who killed or took part in the sabotaging of his ship, and who ultimately was responsible for his father's death. To hunt down this person, Chiron is going to need to travel through the game's 300 star systems and win the favors of those who would have the information for him, as well as run into new companions eagerly willing to assist. From here, the game is rather open, leaving you uncountable ways to accomplish your goals. Will you become a pirate, smuggler, bounty hunter, mercenary for hire, or just a humble trader? The path is up to you. Along the way, Chiron will perform various tasks like smuggling goods onto stations, destroying rebel battlecruisers, and becoming involved in intergalactic conspiracies, all while dealing with lies, deception, and a little love. It's not an epic story like you'll find in something like Mass Effect, but it's good enough to keep you playing the game.
Iona.
Capital.
Hey Chiron, this is Arim. I wanted to meet you outside the Penkar system in order to be sure that nobody is eavesdropping.
Being that there are something like 300 different systems for you to visit, and that you have to hop around to all of them, potentially multiple times, it's likely that DarkStar One will take you something like 30 hours to complete, and it's got great replayability, as you can go through the game as various careers, but the entire game is single player. There's also something like 10 different difficulty settings that can be changed on the fly, ensuring that everyone has a shot at finding a manageable gameplay experience. Travel throughout the galaxy is done through a map system where you can see the systems that are currently available to you. The DarkStar One has a warp drive that's capable of traveling certain distances, and the majority of your time will be spent earning money to continually upgrade this drive to allow you to reach further destinations, and usually you'll need to make several jumps to reach your end destination. In addition, you'll need to gain keys from various missions or from story-driven events that will allow you to access each system. This may seem pretty repetitious to some, but that's kind of what space simulators are about. Initially, I was quite disappointed with the controls. I was really anticipating playing this because I was certain I'd be able to use my 360 flight stick and throttle, and lo and behold, there was no support for custom controls or controllers. In fact, the controls are quite awkward, that is, until you realize why they are that way and get used to them. The DarkStar One does not behave like a typical flyer. It can move in all directions and even strafe, which doesn't really make sense to utilize a typical flyer button layout. Normally I would expect that if I turn the thumbstick that the craft would roll, but instead it actually turns left, so once you get beyond the quirky controls, things start to get a bit easier. Along with trying to hunt down your father's killer, you'll need to upgrade the DarkStar One with various enhancements like afterburners, capacitors, energy systems, and tons of weapons and equipment. But more importantly, you need to collect ancient alien artifacts scattered throughout the galaxy, which upgrades the look and feel of the ship as well as upgrades its hull, wings, and engines, and allow you to equip more guns and turrets. When you find enough artifacts, you're taken to a tech tree screen where you can choose which upgrades you want to utilize. The DarkStar One also has a plasma cannon system that's upgraded with each artifact that makes it a brutal killing machine. Each system has a trade station where you'll pick up various missions or escorts, as well as trade or smuggle goods and purchase and sell equipment. The systems will be run by one of 3 galactic governments, all of whom you'll need to maintain a reputation with, and if you get too friendly with one, you can expect negative consequences with the others, like not being allowed to use their trade station or being attacked on sight. I played through the game as a mercenary and bounty hunter, so most of my time was spent in actual combat. To survive beyond the first few missions, you need to learn to control your ship and fly in all the crazy directions so as to avoid attacks from your foes. Energy and shield management are a huge factor in your success as well. You'll need to transfer energy from various shields to different shields, or transfer energy from your weapon systems to your shields and vice versa, all while simultaneously trying to attack your enemies. Over time, things get pretty repetitive though, even when tackling the story missions. I found that this was a better game when I played for an hour or so here and there instead of tackling all-day sessions. Being a 4-year-old game, DarkStar One was bound to have some dated graphics. The ship textures are very simple, yet bright and colorful, and the space backgrounds are very static and kind of bland. Every now and then you'll see a pretty space environment, but for the most part you can just tell you're looking at an old game. The sound effects are spot on for what they should be, and the voice acting is decent, but everything is just very generic. You'll notice the same voice acting and one-liners for all kinds of different people, and the same character portraits, animations, and the ship designs are repeated pretty much everywhere in the galaxy. The game soundtrack has 90 minutes of pretty good music, which is nice though, as if you're going to be spending 30 hours plus on this bad boy, you better have something good to listen to if the visuals aren't that dazzling. I'd probably have to say that the presentation is certainly this title's weakest aspect. I can't comment on the PC version of the game, as I played the 360, but I can't imagine that things look that much better.
I know a few people. They know how to appreciate favors.
DarkStar One is actually pretty good for what it is. With there being so few space simulators for the Xbox 360, it was a blessing to get my hands on one that does a pretty good job at it. For $40, you get a good 30 hours of entertainment on your first playthrough, and it actually has great replayability if you want to try out a different career style like smuggling or bounty hunting. The graphics obviously are dated and certainly don't show off the processing power of the 360, but the game is relatively fun to play, that is, once you get over its wonky controls. The soundtrack is pretty good and the voice acting is decent, given that the one-liners are repeated quite often, but the desire to see how your ship is going to perform after each upgrade kept me coming back for more. Obviously, this type of game is not for everyone, but for those looking for a good space simulator, much like the original Wing Commander titles, this is certainly one to check out. What's the best space simulator you've ever played? Leave your questions and comments below. Check out the full write-up, screenshots, and gameplay footage over at ZeitgeistGameReview.com. Stay up to date by following me on Twitter, and check out my other channel, Zeitgeist Other, for gameplay footage. Don't forget to subscribe and press the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching.